On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we're talking about which team had the most heartbreaking end to their season. Was it the Denver Broncos, the Colorado Avalanche, or the Denver Nuggets? Let's dive into this conversation and talk to our guy Brian Baldinger coming up now. A gloomy day in the Mile High City for many reasons. We're going to dive into that on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by our local Front Range Toyota stores. And we are the DNVR Broncos podcast. RK, Zach, we got you here behind the camera. RK, how we holding up?
I'm all right. I think that the slow, painful death is a little bit better than the sharp, sudden death.
That's crazy, actually.
Because like it just gives you more time to reckon with it. Like
that's true.
I by Sunday night, I knew the Avs season was over.
Yep. Once that 3-0 lead disappeared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, like even before the game was over, like when it was 3-3, I was like,
yeah,
this doesn't feel good anymore. At 3-0, I was like, we're gonna win the series. But
yeah.
So you have more time to process it.
So that's when it happened for Avs.
Yep.
So you've had 48, 70, 60 hours or so to process that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Nuggets was the same way. Like, I felt it slipping. The Nuggets, at no point during their injury-riddled season was I like, this is a championship team. Of course, the playoffs start and you get your hopes up and you're like, okay, well, if the things break the right way for us and blah, 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 blah. But that one didn't hurt as much because I didn't think the Nuggets were going to win the championship. Like, especially it was like, I remember thinking, okay, if like AG gets back and he's healthy, well then like AG's like hurt by game 2.
Yeah.
So that one wasn't as bad.
Okay. But then,
which leaves the one. We're kind of jumping right in, I guess.
Yeah.
To which one was most heartbreaking? By far, the most heartbreaking was the Broncos for me, because it was, I don't know. I guess in a way it was the slow, painful death where it was like there's a week to get your hopes up, and then. But for me, it was always going to be really unlikely to win the Super Bowl. I thought we could win the AFC Championship game, and then it's like, okay, win the AFC Championship game, and then I don't know, get an onside kick, or I guess you can't do that anymore. Get a fumble recovery or a fake punt that changes things. But really, no other team was there a moment where your heart was ripped directly out of your chest the way that I felt when I was getting on the party bus with all of the DNVR fans coming back to the bar ready to celebrate the best Broncos win in 10 years. And Allie looks at me and says, "Did you see this tweet from Adam Schefter?" And I'm like, "No, what is it?" And he says Bo Nix is done for the season. And like, even just saying that out loud right now, my heart sank again, but not quite as far as it sank the first time. That was by far the most heartbreaking, and it was just like, oh my God, like there it went.
Yep.
Like at that moment, or one moment before that, I actually truly believe the Broncos were going to win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then 1 second later, I didn't. And then I had time to kind of talk myself back into it. That's possible. But really, that feeling right there was like the actual feeling of heartbreak when your heart sinks like that.
I mean, we knew deep in our hearts. We had a great time with City. And I think the Broncos made the most of it. I mean, they came 3 points with it winning the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Obviously, that snowstorm did not help. But right when Sean Payton walked out there for a second time to talk to the media, I already had heard a little whispers that something was up with Bo, and then I knew that his season was over. Sean wouldn't have done that if his season wasn't over there. And so right when he did that, Ryan, I knew Super Bowl was off the table, and it absolutely sucked because as someone in the Toyota chat said, we didn't even get a chance to celebrate that game. And in fact, it's something you and I talked about yesterday, and you brought up, like, maybe we should go back and rewatch the game so actually celebrate how awesome that win over the Bills was and how it was the best win in Broncos in a decade.
Totally. And I want to go back and watch my hit with Benny and Henry. I mean, minutes before the news came out.
Yeah.
Because I was on cloud nine talking about Bo Nix just cemented himself. No more questions about him. You know, he checked every single box that I could have ever asked him to check this season. And that, like, going from there to the gutter in one moment. Actually, it was like, it ended up being like 3 minutes because after I was like, that can't be real. That can't be real. And then I saw your tweet actually. And I was like, that's real. That's straight from Sean Payton, not just like a report or a hacked Twitter account or something.
Well, literally on the show, I went back and watched the moment that the show found out about it live. And Henry saw my tweet and said like something like, oh no. And then said, well, I hope Zach's wrong about this, or I hope Zach got hacked about this, because it was that unbelievable of a moment. And I honestly don't know if you could have drawn it up any moment for any team any worse, really. Because let's say that happens at the Super Bowl. Bo breaks his ankle on the third to final play of the Super Bowl, but the Broncos win the Super Bowl. Okay, that's not nearly as bad. You just won the Super Bowl, and Bo has time to get back for the
100%.
season. If it happens in the AFC Championship game, it is sweet that, or it's even sweeter because you won the AFC Championship game, so you got that. You have 2 weeks to get ready. That probably gives you a little more of an advantage with your backup quarterback than 1 week. So that's why this one was the absolute worst. And then it was only more heartbreaking a week later when we saw the Broncos lose with their backup quarterback by this much. Like, the Patriots had no business being in the Super Bowl, winning that game at all. And the Broncos had a ton of business being there. And I don't think it's crazy at all to say that a normal observer would say the Broncos win that AFC Championship game if Bo was healthy.
Totally. So when it comes to who had the most heartbreaking end of the season, I don't really think it's close.
No.
The Avs, I would say, is maybe the most disappointing end to the season. Because, I mean, it feels like a year ago now, but 10 days ago, we all felt like the Avs were going to win the cup.
Yep.
And so for them to go to that, to just being like shoved in a locker 10 days later was very, very disappointing and almost shocking to see. I think they kind of ran out of gas and like were, dealing with some injuries and all that, but just in pure disappointment, I think I would put the Avs, and then, I don't know, the Nuggets would be the most embarrassing, I guess, because they're way better than going out in the first round.
Honestly, and especially the way it went down. And that's exactly how I was going to label all three teams. Broncos, most heartbreaking, not even close. Disappointing, the Avs, and then embarrassing, not just not making it out of the first round, but
getting bullied,
made fun of publicly, not backing it up, and then also losing when they were super injured as well. And Ryan, when you were talking about the Avs, it made me think back to Super Bowl 48. The Avs, even though it wasn't the Super Bowl that they were in, man, they were rolling through the season, rolling through the playoffs. They had an incredible offense, the Avs, an incredible defense as well. And then it just like all of a sudden vanished and they turned into a different team. And it reminded me of watching Super Bowl 48. Now the Broncos defense was banged up. The Avs were also banged up, but the Broncos offense was not banged up at all. The Broncos offense was ready to go and the best offense in history. And the Avs were on that pace as well. They had an argument to be, people were talking about it just 10 days ago. They could go down as the best team in NHL history. Going 8-1 in their first two series in the playoffs, obviously winning the President's Cup. And then just this fall apart, it very much felt like Super Bowl 48. And in a good way for the Avs, the Broncos made some changes based off of that and were able to go back and win it all. Now, they did have to make changes, so it's going to be interesting to see do the Avs also feel like they have to make those changes? Obviously, the big change wasn't until a year later after they lost in 2014 and the division, or it was a divisional round. I know it was the first game that the Broncos played against the Colts when they came into town because they had the 1 seed or the 2 seed. Yeah, because it was still that. And that's just, you wonder what the future is for the Avs, but I do see some similarities there. And especially like the Broncos team was on the older side outside of some players, but like DeMarcus Ware, a little older. Obviously Payton, Avs kind of creeping up there as well. So gives me hope, but you have to pull the right strings right now, just like John Elway did.
Yeah, and you kind of have to get some breaks. I mean, one thing to point out the difference between the Avs and Nuggets and those Broncos is the Avs and Nuggets already have one in this era.
That's true.
The Broncos did not have one, and then especially after 2014, it really started to feel like they might not get one.
Yeah,
which that's the worst feeling.
Oh,
when the era ends and all the players retire or leave or are gone, and it's like, man, we have nothing to show for this.
Yeah.
There's no banners. There's no reunions.
Yeah.
So I do want to add just a touch of perspective to this because I've seen people say like season of disappointment or like season of sadness. I couldn't disagree with that more. Winning championships is very rare and very hard, but there will come a time, hopefully it's really long down the road, but where there could be a year where the Nuggets, Avs, and Broncos are all bad.
Yes.
And we're looking back at these times being like, wow, those were the times. Not to throw him directly under the bus, but yesterday Jake was like, man, if the Avs lose tonight, it's going to be a really boring summer in Denver. And I was like, well, the Avs made it to the Western Conference Finals. Like, they got us a long way. We're missing out on, I guess, a month-ish more, maybe, whatever, a few weeks, 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
But I do want to remind people that, like, this, I would call this the opposite of a season of sadness. It ended not like we wanted to, but all 3 seasons were pretty fun. The Nuggets probably being the least fun of the 3, but I mean, the Avs won the President's Cup.
Yeah.
The Broncos got the 1 seed. The Nuggets made the playoffs for, the 10th year in a row.
Yeah.
I don't want us to just, I get ring culture and why in the end, legacies and all that stuff does come down to who wins championships. When it comes to watching your teams, all 3 teams being pretty damn good and, just the Rockies existing is something to cherish, not to look back on and say, it was all just a big disappointment. Like, we've gotten 2 championships in Denver in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and maybe there's not enough crossover between Broncos and then Avs and Nuggets fans at times, because I do think that Broncos fans have an appreciation for a good team. Mm-hmm. And where Avs and Nuggets,
Broncos
you've been
fans'
fortunate.
Expectations slide very quickly, though.
Yeah, but that is very true. And I think we're probably on that, like, kind of not peaking as a team, but peaking, getting up there of, like, if the Broncos go 9-8 this year, it will be such a disappointment.
Meltdown city.
And honestly, it would be a disappointment. But yeah, it would be a huge meltdown right there. But I think the Broncos fans got a little humbled, and rightfully so. Right before 2015, the Broncos had more Super Bowl appearances than losing seasons. Had never had back-to-back losing seasons, and then there was the dry spell. And thankfully, with this ownership group, GM, head coach, quarterback, the Broncos really seem like they're not going to be going through that anytime soon, which is huge. But it really is like bring us back to reality there. And what is it? A month ago, we were talking about how this is the sports city, the greatest sports city in the world.
Yeah.
Because of those 3 teams right there. Even with the Rockies trying to bring us down as much as they were trying to, it still didn't take them down from being the sports city. So we're privileged right now. We're living in a good time.
And I mean, just look at the teams who are remaining in their respective sports. No one's calling San Antonio the best sports city in America. No one's calling Oklahoma City the best sports team in America.
Certainly not.
No one's calling New York the best sports city in America.
No.
No one's calling Carolina
the
best sports city in America.
No.
Definitely no one's calling Montreal the best sports city in America.
No, definitely not.
What else do we have? In Vegas, no one's calling Vegas the best sports city.
No, absolutely not. They have 1 team.
Exactly, and so does Oklahoma City.
I guess 2. I forgot about the Raiders.
Oh, right, yeah. But so there does have to be a little bit of perspective of like the gift of being able to watch Jokic and McKinnon and Bo Nix and Pat Surtain. Like it's a really great era for us right now, even though our expectations are very high. I don't want us to look back and say, man, I wish I would have enjoyed that a little bit more.
Right.
I didn't realize that it could go this way. I mean, maybe that it might have lined up pretty well, but like 2016, did every team miss the playoffs?
Could have been. Yeah.
It would have been close.
Yeah, here's going to look that up right now. That's a good one.
If anything, that might have been
That's incredible.
the Avs.
Did the Rockies make the playoffs? Was it 17 and 18?
I think it was
17
17 and 19.
Okay. I've got a question for you, Ryan. Since we just looked back and lived the really good days, let's look forward. Who has the brightest future among these three teams? And is it the Denver Broncos? How close is it with the other teams? Because we're talking about two teams that have won championships in the past half decade here. Do the Broncos have the brightest future? We're going to answer that coming up next.
Every 30 seconds, someone in the United States is diagnosed with cancer. That's 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women. Chances are you know someone, maybe a friend, a family member, or a coworker who's been affected. And as the official sponsor of Denver sports fans, Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers treats more adult cancer than anyone else in Colorado. You support your team, and RMCC is the team that supports you. You've stood by your team for decades through every season, every step back, every comeback, wearing that worn-in jersey, cheering from the same lucky seats. Because it's more than just a game. It's family. It's legacy. And Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers understands that kind of loyalty. And that's why they have been that loyal in treating more adults with cancer in Colorado than anyone else. They're stepping up, standing tall, and helping you keep cancer in check. So if you are suffering or if you know someone, make sure you go over to the Rocky Mountain Cancer Center, the official sponsor of Denver sports fans. Head to RockyMountainCancerCenter.com to learn more.
I tried to copy Taco Bell at home last night, tried to do the homemade Crunchwrap Supreme, and it just didn't live up to Taco Bell's. And that's because Taco Bell it is the inventor of so many fantastic foods, and they do it the best, including their new shredded beef dipping tacos. Get this, packed with slow-simmered, savory shredded beef and served with a rich, flavorful dipping sauce that takes every bite to the next level. And if that's not enough, there's Doritos Locos Tacos, cheesy bean and rice burrito, chips and nacho cheese sauce, along with a drink. This is a flavor you don't just taste, you experience, you feel. And you only get that at Taco Bell, so you can dip it, dunk it, and crave it again. Because once you start, there's no going back. Check out the shredded beef dipping tacos and the $9 Lux Box only at Taco Bell. Get in on the new shredded beef dipping tacos at Taco Bell. Live Moss. Welcome back to the DNVR Broncos podcast, where we're having maybe not as dark of a conversation as I was expecting to have here. Ryan always bringing our spirits up. And so we just look back at the Broncos, Avs, and Nuggets the past 10 years or so, and how great it's been for the Nuggets and Avs, and now how the Broncos are on the rise. Let's look forward. Ryan, who has the brightest future among these three teams? Or I'll throw the Rockies in there too, among these four teams.
It's a really interesting question. I'll start here. If, and this is a big if, I don't know for sure if it's going to happen. If the Avs fire Bednar, then the Broncos most certainly have the best coach in town.
Yep, 100%.
Certainly from a proven it standpoint.
Yep.
The Avs could, I guess, go get, I don't even know who's available on the NHL coaching market, but maybe they get someone with 2 Stanley Cups.
Right.
Doubt it, but who knows?
Let's hire my guy from DU.
I've heard rumblings. I
would love it.
I have no idea if this is true, but I did hear this weekend that he had been offered other NHL opportunities this year and said essentially, like, I'm holding out for the Avs if that comes open.
Oh my goodness.
Again, that's not sourced information. That's a hearsay.
That's a good rumor that I'm going to take.
So yeah, I think that you could say that about the Broncos. You definitely wouldn't be able to say that they have the best player. That would probably be Jokic. Obviously, he's getting older.
Yeah.
And then I think it would be McKinnon. But yeah, so then there's that. I don't think you'd be able to say they have the best core. I think that would probably go to the Avs as well.
I think so.
But you would be able to say that they are certainly still on the upslope, which no other team could say.
Right. Yeah.
You could say that I guess that both Avs and Nuggets made it to the mountaintop and then like came down to like a little plateau somewhere below it, and they're hanging out there.
Yeah.
Have been for a little while.
Yeah.
Whereas the Broncos are certainly still on the climb until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you. And it is interesting to look at because right now we don't know what changes the Nuggets and Avs are going to make. And because they have hit that plateau and haven't made the changes, you have to say the Broncos, right? Because they are still on that climb up. And I think they've passed where the Avs and Nuggets are hanging out right now. And you just look at this past season, Nuggets first round exit. Broncos made it to the second to last round, just where the Avs made it. But the Broncos were closer than the Avs, even with their backup quarterback playing right there. And what were we going to say?
I'll just push back in the sense that of all the three sports, linear growth is hardest in the NFL. Whereas you can kind of like, it's easier to replicate success in hockey and basketball and just long season sports because there's less or there's more room for error.
Yeah.
During the regular season. You know, like I guess the Broncos losing one game would be equivalent to a 5-game losing streak in the other sports.
Yeah.
So if you were to go on a 3-game losing streak, that would be equivalent to a 15-game losing streak in the other sports, which if that happens, you're kind of cooked.
Right.
So
wait, what did the Broncos do last year with their 11-game win streak in comparison to the Avs and Nuggets?
That's what, 55-game win streak. Yeah, little 55-game win streak there. But that's the one thing where I would say like the variability of the NFL is part of what makes it special.
Yeah,
but it is the other part that makes it so you can't just say like, okay, well they were this good next year and they're just getting older and stronger, and so they'll just be better next year. Like it's unfortunately not that easy. Sean Payton talks about it a lot too. Like you don't get to go into last year as the AFC or into next year as the AFC West champions.
Right.
You're just a new team that's 0-0.
Yep. And I do agree with you when it comes to that about the NFL. That's what makes it so great. The hard salary cap that you can't pay your way over. You have to hit it. And then there's stats out there. I don't remember the exact ones, but there's always been, or for the past 40 years, there's been 2 new playoff teams or 3 new playoff teams in each conference every single year, which is
wild.
Is crazy. Whereas like, come on, if the Avs and Nuggets probably have a better chance at making the playoffs this coming year than the Broncos in terms of like odds and percentages and probabilities. And that's just to make the playoffs right there. And my guess is also, I don't think I haven't been able to find current odds on Avs winning a championship next year and Nuggets since both of those seasons are still going.
Yep.
But Ryan, we're going to dive into the Broncos odds tomorrow. And holy cow, is it disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I imagine that both of those teams have better odds at winning, and odds don't mean anything because it's just what people are betting, but it kind of gives you a good, interesting perspective on where things are. And so you're right. Like, I do feel like it's the Broncos that have the best shot at winning the next championship in Denver. And honestly, this is the first time I've felt it without being a homer of this show since maybe doing the pod. And that's also how it's played out as well. So it's going to be interesting, but I still like it. I still like the Broncos as the best team with the shot.
Well, they certainly have the first crack at it.
They do.
If they get it next year and the other 2 teams don't have a chance of getting it before them.
Yep.
It's interesting. I think I would probably pick the Avs. And it would be close, but I would pick the Avs for the reasons we just discussed.
Yeah.
In terms of how hard it is to get back to where you were in the NFL. Whereas I think for the Avs, unfortunately, I wouldn't want fans of this team to hear this, or either of these teams to hear this, but it's like They kind of just need to not run into the Stars or the Knights.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get another one.
Yeah.
Those two teams play a style of hockey that just does not mesh with ours, especially in the playoffs when they're allowing a little bit more physicality and the ice gets a little tighter. So I kind of feel like if they just, the Ducks took the Knights to 7, did they not?
Yep.
So if the Ducks just win that, we're probably talking about the Avs winning the Cup this year, I think.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about that. They're obviously, I feel like, likely going to have some new energy with a new coach. But we also saw the Nuggets mess that up themselves in terms of trying to get the new coach energy.
So what you just viewed through the Avs perspective, let me view it through a Broncos perspective, and I think it might help the case for the Broncos being that team, because clearly the Avs do have a kryptonite, and it's those two teams that you've mentioned. We've seen it play out the past many years with the Avs. The Broncos, though, are they afraid of anyone in terms of like a matchup that does not work well? Because in this playoffs, now obviously it played out well where the Chiefs didn't make it, the Ravens didn't make it, but it was honestly like, okay, at least in my mind, it was, if you can avoid the Bills as long as possible, that's the only team that we're really afraid of. We weren't really afraid of the Patriots, especially with Bo Nix healthy. We weren't afraid of the Jags. At least maybe we should have been a little more afraid, but I wasn't that afraid. Yeah. The Chargers, absolutely not. The Texans with CJ Stroud, no. And so it was like, okay, just for me, avoid the Bills. And then they got the Bills and beat them. Yeah. So it's like, is there a team that the Broncos, in that way, the way of the Vegas Knights and Dallas, where it's like, just stay away from them?
No, not necessarily, but that's because the Broncos haven't made the playoffs 10 years in a row and lost to a certain team more than a couple times. You know? The team I would least want to see in the playoffs is still the Ravens. Still the Ravens? I thought you were going to say still the Chiefs. No. Good. We're past that hump.
Bo's 2-1.
Yeah, I think that I think any team should say that, which is funny, but I just think that they're so hard to defend. And obviously teams figure it out all the time, and they have off nights, and they haven't gotten it done. But just on like a pure paper perspective, going up against, no one scares me more than going up against Lamar, because I just feel like you could do everything right and it still won't work.
And see, what I love about that is that I agree with you in the regular season, but then when the playoffs come,
I know.
Don't really care. And same with Josh Allen.
That's exactly true. Like we could have said the same thing about you saying you don't want to run into the Bills. It's like, well, it's the Bills in the playoffs. Like Josh Allen's going to do something stupid, turn 100%. It over 5 times. And like it doesn't feel like that's going to happen until it happens. And you're like, oh yeah, there is a lot of data that says this is going to happen. Yep.
And so who are the other big dogs in terms of quarterbacks that you look at? Mahomes, you talked about him. Drake May was represented them in the Super Bowl, the AFC, and
I'm picking the Patriots to not make the playoffs this year.
I love that. I wonder what the odds are on that. You got to get positive odds.
Yeah, because people are still kind of riding them.
Yep, people are, and man, it's been a disaster for them this offseason. Who are the other? Justin Herbert? Come on, give me a break. Yeah. CJ Stroud might be even a bigger joke in the playoffs than Justin Herbert, which is a huge hurdle.
No, because CJ Stroud's won 2 games in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, you're right. But this past year was not good at all.
Yeah, he did not represent himself. Joe Burrow.
That's a fascinating one. He doesn't make the playoffs, but when he does, he can beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, we've seen him go to a Super Bowl. We've seen him beat the Broncos.
So maybe he's the opposite. You don't really want to play him in the playoffs, but you're fine playing him in the regular season. Although it didn't.
It didn't work out for us in that game.
2 years ago.
It was fun to watch.
Honestly, maybe if you take Bo Nix out of this conversation, maybe Joe Burrow's like the guy you don't want to play. But it's just hard to say when it's Cincinnati and he's surrounded by that offensive line.
After going through this, do you come back to Lamar too?
No, okay. I can't do it in the playoffs. But I see why you say that. But
I say this every year. Every time I watch the Ravens, I don't know how they lose.
Yeah. Completely. Unfortunately, I think their coach is good.
And then when they lose, I'm blown away.
Yeah. I think everyone is. It's because they hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 4 times in the final 3 quarters of a game or something in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. They do.
Man, this is a great conversation. Let's keep it rolling with our guy, Brian Baldinger, who's joining us coming up next.
Zach, what if I told you that I could guarantee that the Broncos would be good for the next 5 years?
Give it to me.
Yeah.
Where do I sign?
Of course you would sign up for that, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
What I can do is guarantee that you have a good price on internet for the next 5 years.
Sign me up.
Yeah,
Where do I go?
Exactly. You take that all the time. Anytime you can guarantee something for 5 years, heck, if you could guarantee me I'd be alive for the next 5 years, I'd take that.
Absolutely.
And again, can't do that, but you can guarantee yourself great Wi-Fi.
You may not be here, but the Wi-Fi will be.
The Wi-Fi will be there, and it'll be the same price. It's amazing. And not only are you going to lock in that price, you're also going to lock in the best possible Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi that makes your home work together, that knows which devices need the most power, and so on and so forth. So a lot can change in 5 years, but your price on internet will not. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
Man, and Toyota can almost guarantee that you're going to have your car with no issues in 5 years from now as well.
Did for me.
Exactly. And it does for pretty much every single owner. Toyotas are so trustworthy, and that's why my wife and I were having a conversation, and she does not have a Toyota now. But I was like, okay, so if you got a new car, what would it be? Immediately said Toyota 4Runner. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about, because we're not going to have any issues with that one breaking down. And it's such a cool car. I went in the Toyota website and was looking at the inside of the new 4Runners, and oh my gosh, are they sweet. And we all know how cool they are on the outside. And that dependability is also so key. So if you want to get yourself a car that you can trust and that is awesome on the inside and out, make sure to check out your local Front Range Toyota stores. They've got 17 models available, all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like that 4Runner I'm talking about, 16 different hybrid vehicles. And so make sure to check them out. Visit a local Front Range store at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Rappo and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Welcome back to the DNVR Broncos podcast. We're having a great conversation here. Really quick, I want to turn it to the NFC when we're waiting for Baldy. Are there a lot more guys in the NFC that scare you? And I don't mean that in in that sort of way, but are there more guys in the NFC?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, Sam Darnold just won it in the NFC. And
certainly doesn't scare me.
Do you believe in him now?
I believe in him. I think he's done it back-to-back years, which is, that's means something.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't fear him in any way. If the Broncos were playing him, I would expect the Broncos to win for sure.
So the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Thursday Night Football this year at home.
Yep. I love it. Let's ask our guy, Brian Baldinger, who's calling in on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. Xfinity, imagine that. Let's bring him in right now. Baldy, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Good to be with you. It's kind of dead period right now, so I'm sure we're just kind of looking back right now at things that might have happened or could have happened, or maybe we wish we would have happened.
Well, Baldy, you're absolutely right. That's exactly
great summary of the first two segments.
That's
today.
Exactly what we're doing. We're talking about on this show, kind of looking at the Broncos, Avs, and Nuggets, and seeing which one was more heartbreaking, and then looking forward to who has the best odds of winning the championship next. Do you think the Broncos are? I don't know your Avs and Nuggets knowledge there, but do you think the Broncos are really up there in terms of winning a Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, you get the AFC Championship game at home like they did. And I know Jared Stidham was the starting quarterback that day, and, it's too bad what happened to Bo Nix at the end of the divisional game against Buffalo. But, I mean, to lose that game is still about as heartbreaking as you get. It just is. Like, the defense couldn't have played a whole lot better. They gave them the only touchdown they really ever got that game. Like, that was all set up to win and go to a Super Bowl. And so that's just, I don't know, when you get that close and you're at home, that's different than, 7-game series of, the Nuggets and the Avs right now.
Mm.
We also were kind of looking around at teams or quarterbacks that would put fear into the Broncos. If you were in Vance Joseph's position, which quarterback would you least want to face in a playoff game?
I mean, it would have to be Mahomes, just because of what he's accomplished. We know that he's going to be, at some point, he's going to get back to being healthy. We'll see if he's the same. I can't imagine him, the competitiveness and the playmaking ability being any different. The physical ability, like all quarterbacks, might slow down a little bit, but the game-changing ability that he has is still probably put the most fear in you, because no matter what kind of pressure you want to put under him, his ability to escape the pressure or make plays under pressure is almost unparalleled. So I would still put Mahomes at the very top right now.
I'm curious what Vance would say, though, just because, the win-loss record obviously hasn't been great for the Broncos against the Chiefs. But in terms of games where Vance was in charge of the defense, the statistics from Mahomes haven't been that great.
I don't have any of that information in front of me. I know they've won in a variety of ways. They had the blocked field goal 2 years ago, to get a Chiefs victory. I mean, I know there's been some escapes, but at the same time, if you're talking about playoff games, that is different than a regular season. So that's the concern. His playoff record is unreal. How many wins he has, big games, Super Bowls, championship games, all that kind of stuff. Like that is a little bit different than the regular season.
Well, Baldy, speaking of Mahomes, the Chiefs released a video of him yesterday throwing a football with the helmet on. I have accepted that he's going to be playing week 1. Do you think that's the right thing to expect? And then will it be a 100% Mahomes, or what type of Mahomes do you think the Broncos will be facing week 1?
It'll be interesting. I mean, Andy Reid's not putting Mahomes out there if he doesn't feel like he's 100%, and there isn't going to be any sort of repercussions from the serious injury he had, back in December. So he's not putting him out there on the field. But I think the schedule makers feel pretty good, about, the lineup that they have week 1, that he's going to be out there. I think, Andy has always had the ability to adjust game plans according to the health of players. I mean, he did it with Donovan McNabb when, he had issues, injuries, and other backups were in there at the time. Like, he has adjusted the game plan. They did go out and get the Super Bowl MVP for a reason. They won a better run game than what they've had. We got to see if their offensive line is going to be an improvement, or how much of an improvement, because I think we feel pretty good that at least most football players, analysts think that Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Suama Tatia, like, we feel pretty good that that's a good interior. The question mark has been at the tackle position for a long time, and we just got to see what that looks like right now. And nobody really knows Josh Simmons, what they're going to really line up with, because that's the strength of the Broncos pass rush, is coming off the edge. Mm-hmm. And can those guys hold up right now?
I like that. I love that advantage for the Broncos. Since you're talking offensive line, I want to look at the Broncos offensive line. And Baldy, you're the absolute expert when it comes to offensive line. Where would you, without truly ranking them, where would you put the Broncos offensive line in terms of how good they are compared to the rest of the NFL? Are they top 5, top 10, not in the top half of the NFL?
I'd say in order to get in the top 5, they have to run the ball better than what they do. I mean, I know they've protected well. Bo Nix has, helped them out with his scrambling ability. So the sack numbers are way down, which is always a good sign, and that puts you in the top 10 automatically, especially as much as they throw the football. But I think they got to run the ball better if you're going to be a top 5 offense line. So I'd put them somewhere between 5 and 10 right now. And look, the backups came in and played real well at left guard and at center last year. When Wattenberg went down, when Powers went down, the backup stepped in and played well. And so that's a credit, to what they're doing from the development standpoint. But I feel like in order to, get into that top 5, they've got to make a jump. And, maybe it's just the running back situation. They look a lot better when J.K. is in there and healthy than when he's not in there and healthy.
One of the conversations we were having yesterday, Baldy, was about the next step for this Broncos defense. And we brought up kind of creating turnovers as something that could put them at the next level. My question to you is that something that can be taught, can be learned, or is it more luck when it comes to turning the ball over?
Nah, I don't believe in the luck part. I don't. I believe that, everybody could study the peanut punch, Charles Tillman, and just watch how they punch the ball out. And the teams that, are pretty good at it, you spend a lot of time working on it, both offense and defense. Like if Ponder's picking up a bad fumble by Jarrett Stidham in an AFC championship game, there's still a chance to get that ball back. And so defensive players, offensive players, they all got to learn that. I think you can learn how to force fumbles. I do think that the longer you play together, I think the better chances you take in the secondary with passes and balls in the middle of the field, tip passes? Can you get those interceptions? Jaquan seems to have a real knack for it, whether it's loose balls or interceptions. I'd say he's got a good instinct about it. But I think those can be trained day in, day out. And so I believe that, if you look at the Bears last year, they led the league in interceptions. They led the league in takeaways, period. One of the reasons why they got as far as they did. But, a guy like Kevin Byard, I mean, those instincts have traveled with him since high school, Middle Tennessee State, the Tennessee Titans. Like that guy, he led the league in interceptions last year. And he's got instincts. And his instincts to take chances, to gamble, are real. And so I think those are things that can be worked on throughout the year, not just during the season, but even right now in OTAs, they can be worked on.
Baldy, Ryan asked you earlier who the Broncos should fear the most at quarterback in the AFC. I want to kind of flip that question and ask you how Bo Nix is feared nationally around the NFL. Is he getting up there, or are teams still, do they need to see more before they truly fear him in a playoff type situation?
I think they got to see more. I don't know that people fear him. I think that they feel like they can defend him. I think they let him take off and run. And a number of those situations, I don't see people spying Bo Nix right now. They kind of want him to, take off with it. It's one of the reasons why he's been a good scrambler and gained a lot of first downs. But I don't think they fear his ability to carve defenses up with the deep ball. Maybe Jalen Waddle, helps change some of that with Sutton and the other guys that they have right there, Troy Franklin, whatnot. I think, he needs another target out there to really stretch the defense, to stretch it vertically, but also stress the defense. And so I think maybe he helps make a difference right there, where they might fear Bo Nix a little bit more. But, his statistics tell you that they don't really fear him. Yards per attempt, completion percentage, those kind of things. Like, I don't think he's in that company yet of Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes. Like, I don't think he's in that category at this point.
If he were to go on kind of a run at the beginning of this year with that crazy first 6 games, do you think that that's something that could flip?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's his 3rd year. And, he's coming back with perhaps a better team, maybe a better offense than what he has had. They come out of that. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there. If they're 4-2 in the first 6 games with that schedule, that could certainly help, because in that schedule, he's going to have to, make plays that the big time quarterbacks have to make in order to win the majority of those games. I'm keeping that number at 4, but if they win 4 or 5 of those games to start the season, I think you'll start to see some of that. That respect is earned; it's not given, and so that's what I'm saying right now. I think most good defenses, most great defensive players. You just saw Derwin James get his extension yesterday. Most of these guys in the league, they look at the opposing quarterback as either a problem or a guy that we can handle, or we can contain, or we can beat. Like, they don't really look at it as an entire offense. They look at it as a quarterback matchup. And that's not really fair, but that's how good defensive players and defensive coordinators look at the opposing quarterbacks. Like, can we beat this guy? Can we take him out of his game? Can we affect this guy? And so, the guys I mentioned, Josh and Lamar and, Mahomes, like, they're a problem for teams. They know that they're never out of a game as long as those guys got another snap in them.
Baldy, one off-topic question really quick. How does a coach or an organization or players improve penalties? Because it felt like every Monday after games last year, Sean would say, we got to get better on the penalties. We got to get better on the penalties. And it just never really did for the Broncos. How do they do that this year?
I think a couple things. Most penalties are the result of being in bad position. Holding calls, defensive pass interference, illegal contact. Most penalties are the reason. Now, you could look at different officials and games are officiated different. All that stuff is true. But by and large, what I would do, and I'm sure Sean does the same thing, like you pull old penalties and you put them on a little reel and you go and watch them and you study them. All right, is this holding call the result of bad footwork, being out of position? Are you grabbing, or are you winning with your feet? Are you winning with your eyes? And so I think that's the start of it, is understanding why the penalty was committed. Is it because you're not in good position? If you were in better position, could you have avoided the penalty? Offense and defense and special teams, all of it. And so I think that's where it starts. It's just understanding what got you in a position for that penalty to be called in the first place.
I love it. Baldy, final one for you. Since it's May 27th and we're talking about football, might as well just look at Super Bowl 61. And if I pose the question to you right now, who are the Broncos playing in the Super Bowl next year? What would your answer be?
I would probably lean towards the Rams. I feel like that's a really good roster. They're bringing back the league MVP in Stafford. The coach is, is crazy good and innovative. They've drafted very, very well. And so I would say the Rams would probably be, look, Seattle beat them in a championship game. Stafford still threw for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns that day. It's not like they slowed him down. And Seattle was the number 1 ranked defense in football, gave up 292 points in 17 games last year, kept the 49ers out of the end zone in a playoff game. And then the Rams still went up and down the field on them. So I would say I would lean towards the Rams right now.
I love it. Broncos, Rams. We'll sign up for it, Baldy. We appreciate you joining us and look forward to next week.
All right, Zach, Ryan, we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
See you, Baldy. That is Brian Baldinger on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. Xfinity, imagine that. You got it.
I got it.
So he doesn't know Hank.
It's just he doesn't know Hank's name.
That is great.
Process of elimination.
Yeah, we did it.
For those of you who don't know, we've been laughing for a while about when Baldy comes on, he goes, "What's up, Zach? What's up, fellas?" So we're like, oh, he only knows Zach's name. But it turns out he just didn't want to say, "What's up, Zach, Ryan, and other guy."
Respectful. That's Baldy there for you. Matthew Stafford, I guess, when we were talking about NFC guys, a guy to fear in the NFC. It's just the only thing with him is, well, two
Father
things.
time?
Yeah, is father time / injuries. Man, when I see a picture of him, I'm like, you have so much gray in your beard.
Yeah.
It is wild. But he's still balling out, the MVP last year. But injuries too, like weren't there rumors 2 years ago that he had a chronic spine issue and he might not be able to play, and then that just kind of went away. That's not going to get better with age.
Yeah, people were legitimately saying he's going to be done.
Yeah, and then he came back and won the MVP.
Also, he's only 38.
Yeah,
I think it's the beard.
I think so.
That made me think this will be his age 40 season.
Yeah.
Father time's coming eventually. 38 for quarterback, it really isn't that old.
It's also the Lions. You forget that he was on the Lions, and that makes him feel older.
Well, that's the thing is, I think playing for the Lions did age him a lot faster.
Yeah.
Not only just in his beard, but the amount of hits you take playing behind a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
So, it won't shock me at all if he's great.
Mm-hmm.
It also won't shock me at all if eventually he takes a step back. But, we said that about Brady for how many years?
Yeah, and you look, and he's way more built like a Peyton Manning and a Tom Brady in terms of pocket passers than elusive guys that can avoid hits and stuff. So that's going to be interesting this year. I guess because of that, I'd rather have played the Rams later in the season instead of week 3, because he's probably going to be just buzzing on all levels in that game. That's going to be a hell of a game, though. That, if you take division games away and what those mean, that might be the most exciting game of the season for the Broncos.
I've come around. Well, I actually never needed to come around on the schedule, but I love this schedule more and more every day.
I love it.
And the reason is because the Broncos are going to get a real look at where they are early in the season. And obviously, we know that they made the AFC Championship game last year. They won the AFC West. That's a good place to start. But you could have a game against the Rams where you don't match up well. And, you could lose that game. And it's a good time for it.
Yeah.
To be like, we've got a long way to go. If that's the favorite in the NFC and we want to win the Super Bowl, we have to lock in and get a lot more detail oriented. I like going through this early season stretch and coming out of it knowing exactly where you stand. You're 4-2 and you competed in every game.
Yep.
You're looking great.
Yep.
You're 3-3. Okay. We got work to do. Maybe you competed in 5 out of the 6, got beat bad and won. Okay, that's how far we have to go. You're 6-0. Well, now it's Super Bowl or bust. You know, like I just think
we're thinking 17-0.
Right. I mean,
if they're 6-0 through that,
we would be talking about it
yes.
for sure. So I like coming out of that schedule. And by the way, if it doesn't go well, say it's 3-3 or worse.
Yeah.
There's still time
Yep.
to make up for what happened there and hopefully fix the problems that led you to beat at that record.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. You just can't go 1-5 or 0-6. But this is like last year's start on steroids. Last year, the Broncos actually played, well, two teams that turned out to be really good when they were healthy, and the Colts and the Chargers in week 3. And they started off 1-2. Well, now you just expand that to 6 games, and that's why it's last year on steroids. And Ryan, a 2-4 start wouldn't be the end for the Broncos. They would just know that they have a long climb up, and maybe a 2-4 start would take them out of the 1 seed. But not even, because of last year, they started 1-2, won 11 straight games. Let's say they start 2-4 and win 11 straight games. They'll be right in it for the mix for the 1 seed. Certainly, they'll probably be in the mix for the division right there. And I think they're going to go 3-3, so I don't think that's even going to be a concern right there. But you're right, it is a time to, as Sean Payton really emphasized last year, we got to, at the beginning of the season, we got to get better faster than the rest of the teams.
Yep. One other thing, talking about Mahomes in week 1 and how healthy he's going to be, and obviously you and Baldy are both pretty confident that he's going to be ready to go, and he's going to play. I really don't think the NFL would put that game on the schedule if he wasn't going to play. So let's just think back to Alex yesterday.
Yeah.
When he was how many months removed from his?
He got injured
months?
it was 10. Yep.
10 months removed from his ACL. So Mahomes will be how many?
He's 5 right now. We're 3 months away.
So he'll be
June,
8.
July, August, 4. So 9. Exactly 9.
Okay. So a month less than Alex.
Yep.
Alex said he couldn't, when you imagine these players warming up on the field, they're on one knee.
Yeah.
He couldn't put that knee on the ground still.
That was crazy.
10 months removed from the surgery because it hurt too much to put the knee that he had the ACL tear on the ground from the surgery and all of the recovery and all of that. So 100% is not attainable.
I agree with you there.
There's no world in which he's 100%. 80, 90, obviously Mahomes is still presenting problems, but I wouldn't be shocked if we, in week 4 are talking about, like, should the Chiefs really have rushed him back to get him out there week 1?
I think the Chiefs should have done something that would have sucked this year for them. They just probably should have considered just a step back year for the entire organization. But it sucks in the way that Andy Reid's getting old. He probably doesn't want to coach that much longer. He doesn't want to go through that. And Travis Kelce. And I mean, outside of Mahomes, that is the Kansas City Chiefs. So are you really going to do that? You probably should for long-term for Mahomes.
I think if Mahomes would have said, like, Kelce probably called Mahomes at some point. So, like, what are you thinking?
100%.
And if he said, like, hey, man, I think I'm going to sit out until the bye, I think Kelce would have been like, I don't think I have it in me, dude. I'm not going to play with
Justin Fields.
with Justin Fields for the first half of the season. Like,
yeah.
So that also could have been part of the reason why Mahomes is like, I got to get back.
Yeah, because right now he's 5 months out, and he's wearing a sleeve and a brace, so he's certainly protecting that knee. But you're right, Ryan. The crazy things that we've seen Mahomes do specifically against the Broncos, he's probably not going to be able to do at full strength come week 1. And that will limit him. That will make him more of a pure pocket passer. That's going to make his internal clock go from, instead of being comfortable holding the ball for 4 seconds because he can run back there, to 2 seconds because he knows Nick Bonito's coming off the edge. He knows he can't move, and he knows he can't get his knee hit.
Well, and it's an advantage for the Broncos that this will be the first game speed that he will face.
Yeah.
You can simulate all you want in practice of what it's like to run away from Nick Bonito. You have no idea what it's like and what it's going to feel like on that knee until you actually have to run away from Nick Bonito, or else you're going to get crushed.
Yep, 100%. Ryan, also, during the break, right before we had Baldy on, you called it. You said, Baldy's going to say the one guy the Broncos should fear the most is Patrick Mahomes. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And I don't
think that I wouldn't ever ask Vance this question in a press conference because no coach is going to admit to being afraid or whatever of anybody. Or, if you say one guy, then you play a different guy. Oh, this guy, you disrespected him, blah, blah, blah. I think if we had him just here in the bar, I don't think he would say Mahomes.
Would he say Herbert?
No. I think you would say Lamar.
Yeah.
Because Lamar put, what, 55 on us?
Yeah, that was tough. I was thinking of the Broncos haven't beat Herbert since Bo got here.
Why isn't he there at the end of the season?
Yeah, no, it's that's fair. You're probably right. It probably is Lamar.
Because it can't be Mahomes, at least in terms of your confidence. Vance has amazing. I think the Chiefs are sub 20 points per game against Vance Joseph defenses.
I almost said it with Baldy, but I just wasn't confident enough. But I think it's like 18 points a game. And Mahomes or the Broncos are 3-0 against the Chiefs in their last 3 games. They're 4-1 in their last 5.
And the one loss was the blocked field goal.
One loss was a blocked field goal. Bo Nix should be he's 2-1 right now.
Should be undefeated.
He should be undefeated. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah. They swept him last year. Now Mahomes didn't play in the final game. So against Mahomes, he's 1-1, but the one loss was Bo got him to the 35-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Come on now. Oh, and you know how many points the Chiefs scored that game that they won?
Was it 16?
18. Yeah. Broncos lost 18-16. Broncos would have won 19-18. And Bo's first game.
And so maybe that's why, like, I don't know, Vance would say, like, it's not about Mahomes, it's about the Chiefs. Yeah. I don't want to face, but I don't even think he would say that.
I think Sean or Davis Webb. I think Davis Webb likes going up against the Chiefs in the first week. And I probably would have preferred it at home because it's going to be a good environment there. But that secondary is so different than what it was a couple of years ago when the Chiefs did have a top 3 defense in the NFL for like a five-year stretch when they were winning all their Super Bowls. That's why they were so good. It's because they had a great quarterback and they had a top 3 defense year after year. They don't have that anymore. They have Chris Jones. They have George Karlaftis. But like they have some players, but like Karlaftis isn't even like an all-pro. He's a good player.
Got a rookie corner.
You got a rookie corner. My gosh.
Baldy just got done telling us that longer secondaries play together, the better they are at creating turnovers.
Great point.
The Broncos will be going into year 3 with this exact setup.
Yep.
Plus Jade and however he factors into it. The Chiefs will be in game 1 with that setup.
Yeah. Davis Webb's gotta love it. They do have a very good defensive coordinator, but man, that's why I'm calling it Jalen Waddle. I can't say breakout. What is it? Jalen Waddle debut game for Bo Nix.
Oh, I guess it would be year 2 because with Hufanga.
Yeah, that's true.
Last year,
that's true.
Still, I mean, most of those guys with a lot of familiarity with each other.
Man, Huff gets a pick off Mahomes.
He's got to be on the jugs machines all offseason.
Oh man, you would think so.
I'd be getting 100 catches a day.
Yeah. Is he just go in your backyard, turn it on, spin it up pretty high?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got a super chat to hit before we get out of here, and let's get to it. It is from Mindless Moonchild. I like that name. Says the Mammoth got screwed over as well. To have the league come out and full on apologize, effing up your game is insane.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the details of this, but I do remember seeing the statement from the league getting shared on social. And I don't remember if it was I think it was the championship game. I don't know. I don't want to mess up the details. But we should have had that conversation that day of could you imagine the meltdown? If the league had to come out and say that shouldn't have been called, or there should have been a second on the clock, or we completely botched it and it was the play that decided the game.
I can't imagine. Oh my gosh. That would definitely be Sean Payton conspiracy then.
Yeah.
Did the NFL did the refs get the call from the NFL to not let Sean Payton win, so they took that second off or something like that?
I mean, Baldy had a great point when we talked to him about that last week. Could the NFL really still be holding on to a grudge about that all this time later?
Yes.
What? I don't understand how or why.
Yeah.
It really wasn't that damaging to the league.
It was damaging to the Saints. Well, it
would be I would say Brady, Belichick, all of their cheating was far more damaging to the league than Bountygate.
Well, it's because they just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it.
But they were also winning and I guess the concept of like the players getting hurt because of that is bad for the league for sure.
I've got one more question to finish this up, and we're going to do it in overtime. Go to thednvr.com to continue the conversation in overtime. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, and I'm not saying it was ethical or right by any stretch of the mind. I just don't think that people were like thought differently about the NFL because of it. Like thought worse of it.
Yeah, it was just a team specific.
It wasn't like super off-putting to big fans of the NFL, and other than the fact that it was unethical.
Right.
But it wasn't like, wow, like I don't know about this league. Whereas, like, you know, I would argue Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing more damage to the NBA than that ever did to the NFL.
What, 32 points off 7 shots last night?
I mean, someone had that reel of he hit the floor after almost every single shot attempt.
Yeah.
And I mean, as someone who really likes the NBA and, you know, follows the Nuggets very closely, like, I'm not necessarily on the fringe now. I also don't watch the sport once my team is out. But I totally understand, like, a casual football fan who sometimes tunes into the NBA, turning that on and being like, I'm not watching this.
Totally.
I wouldn't blame them one bit.
Yeah.
I think part of it was because it was so violent. You're looking for somebody's head, and like the whole CTE thing was coming out at the same time.
True. No,
so
I mean,
think
it was very bad. Don't get me wrong. It was very bad. I just don't think it was something that the league would hold a grudge over of like, you hurt the product or you hurt the shield by doing that.
Who did you not like athlete-wise in the 2000s? 2000 to 2010-ish.
Peyton Manning.
Well, that's a bad example for me to use, so I'm going to ask for someone else.
2000 to 2010.
Phillip Rivers.
Athlete that I really hated would,
Phillip Rivers is good.
Were you thinking of a non-football player?
No, it can be anyone. I just wanted someone that you hated.
Todd Bertuzzi.
Do you still hate him?
Yeah, of course.
You still hold that grudge?
Of course.
Yeah, so maybe that's what the NFL is doing with
he
Sean.
He did kind of headhunt someone. So.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good pull. I appreciate it. Because Peyton Manning, obviously, do you still hate him? Of course not. Of course not. Phillip Rivers, too. I don't know about you, but I don't hate Phillip Rivers anymore.
Yeah, and I hated Peyton Manning out of pure respect. He 100%. Kicked their ass.
Yep, you did not want to see him. That's a guy you did not want to see in the playoffs, so you're the Denver Broncos.
Oh, my God.
No way. All right, we got one more super chat coming from Great Browse, who says, I love summer, but I love Bo Nix more. I love it. And you know what you get together? You get Bo Nix and summer at the end or at the beginning of training camp coming up.
True.
In 2 months. We might be at the 2-month countdown right now.
Yeah.
For training camp.
Love that.
Let's go. We will be back tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast. I saw some things in the Toyota chat that we will be talking about. You want to talk about disrespect? Holy cow. Do the Broncos and Bo Nix continue to get so much disrespect? Let's break it down tomorrow. We'll see you at 11 a.m.
God bless Bo Nix.
We all silly like the mayor.